Hello and welcome. Welcome to the library. I'm actually now doing this for the second time because I apparently didn't have my mic on. So fuck. So that's a thing. And it's echoey and I don't know why. I'm not even going to fricking bother with this anymore. I'm so frustrated. All right, so I'm just going to go through it again. I apologize for this starting at 18 minutes late. It wasn't actually. We were talking and then I realized there was a problem. Anyways. Deep breaths. Hello and welcome to the library. My name is Serdd. I am an audiobook narrator, sometimes voice actor, and a podcast host. My podcast is Serdd's Audio Fanfictions, where I read and voice fanfiction, obviously. I am a huge reader. I love it. It's my absolute favorite thing to do, both for leisure and for work and for anything in between. My favorite. So that's what the library is. As you can probably tell, it has something to do with books. So what we will do here at the library is... Sorry, I'm all flustered. What the library is all about is each Sunday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I plan to read either a Danmei or a fanfiction, not actually a fanfiction, probably going to stick to the Danmei, or even an original work, something that doesn't fit into my podcast. Excuse me. If you don't know what Danmei is a Chinese web novel, and usually it leans in the BL gay romance direction, as do most of my works, actually. Excuse me. Over on SAF, Serdd's Audio Fanfictions podcast, I also read probably majority gay romance, although I do read hetero as well. So that's really not the only genre that'll be on here, just most of the time. I would also like to introduce this little one beside me. This here is Yui. Now, usually Yui would only be on the desk here if he's in the room, and he's not right now. He's actually downstairs in another room. But because this is our first episode, I really wanted to include him in it so that you could all meet baby Yui. You'll see him a lot. He's my best little buddy. Now, I just wanted to introduce the library and where I got the concept from and what I really want all of this to be about. Now, I don't know about where you're from or what your routines were, but... Why did I do that? Sorry. But when I was little... Just a sec. I'm trying to my best to keep an eye on all of my things going on because Lord knows something else is bound to happen, knock on wood. Yeah, it's still going. Sorry. When I was little, I'm not sure about what it was like when where you're from, and I know I'm dating myself here, but when I was little, my favorite routine was on Sunday nights, and it all revolved around Sunday Night Disney. Sunday nights, after dinner, 6 o'clock, you went upstairs, you had your bath, but it was more than any other routine. It was more than what you usually did throughout the week. So this is the one where you'd take your time, maybe have a bubble bath, get snuggly afterwards, properly fully dry your hair. But you'd get comfy cozy and then go downstairs, cuddle up, and watch whatever was on Sunday Night Disney. And it didn't even matter what was playing that night. It was just part of the routine, and you could depend on that. And that's what I want the library to be. I want it to be a standing routine, standing opportunity, standing appointment. Although appointment's the wrong word. I want it to be something consistent. So every night, every Sunday night at 8, you can come to the library and just hang out and relax. Get cozy, get something comfy, get something, a warm drink or maybe a little snack, cuddle up and let's read together. And let's just hang out and relax and chill and wind down from the weekend and mentally prepare ourselves for Monday. Now, as this first episode is going live, it is Easter Sunday. Oh my goodness. That scared the bejesus out of me. I didn't hear any music, so I turned it up a bit. Holy goodness. Sorry, I'm in the house alone right now, and I'm upstairs in the farthest room, so it's any noise that I don't know what it is. You have to stop and freeze to figure out what it is first. Oh goodness, where was I? I have no idea where I was. Someone rewind this. Okay, relax, get cozy. I'll be here. So so I just want it to be somewhere that you can just come and be yourself. And that's what I was saying. As tomorrow, I'm not sure about what it's like where you are from or where you are right now, but majority of us, not all of us, of course, but most of us have Monday off, and some of us will even be having our Easter tomorrow. In which case, you absolutely need this to wind down for more family tomorrow. Whew. Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce the story that we're going to be starting with. Whoa, why did my eyes do that? Why did my head do that? Okay. Excuse me. This Danmei is one of my favorites so far. I should preface this with saying, or preface? Is it preface or preface? I always say preface because I'm dyslexic and used to sounding words out, but I think it's preface. Anyways, I'm going to have a sip of tea. Oh my god. Royal milk tea is one of the best things Japan has ever given us. And it's given us a lot. Let me preface this by saying I have not read the full series, or the full story. I think I read up to either chapter 14 or chapter 20. I'm not sure. Just because as soon as I realized that this was the first story that I wanted to share on this channel, in fact, this wanting to share this particular story is what prompted me creating this channel in the first place. Because I love it so much. It just, unfortunately, doesn't fit on... Why are my eyes doing that? Just a moment here. It's gonna be loud. Sorry. Nope, that doesn't do anything. Oh, what's that? Are my eyes still going buggy? There. Oh, you did that on purpose, you idiot. Okay. I have had so many bugs. I got to the point with this where I was convinced that the universe was sending a message just to give up. Like every single possible... Well, look at tonight. I thought I had everything up and ready to go. I tested it before we got started and then was recording for about 18 or so minutes and only to realize that that my microphone wasn't working. So it's been a lot of that. Anyways, back to this story. Married Thrice to Salted Fish is a Chinese web novel, a Danmei, BL, written by, I hope I pronounced this right, Bika Bika? It's that, at least that's how it's spelled. B-I, B-I-K-A, B-I-K, Bika, Bika, B-I-K-I, anyways. There's a little bit of backstory to this in that well, let's start off with, obviously this is a Chinese story and we're looking at it in English. So there's a translator. When I was originally reading this story, I went to the English translator because I love their version of it. Absolutely love their version of it. It made me fall in love with this story at 4 chapters. By chapter 4. And so I went to them and, asked if I could get permission to read it. And unfortunately, it came down to, they were awesome, by the way, this translator. They were so incredibly sweet and kind and really supportive. But it eventually came down to, we're translating this into English, but we don't have the permission. So I can't give you permission to read it. You would have to, go to the author and get permission. But then if you did that, it'd be outing us to the author. So I never wanted to do anything that I got someone else in trouble or I took away from anybody else. That's not what I want to do. That's never, ever my intention. I just want to be able to share something that I really love. So what I have done instead, and I completely respect that translator and I still love all of their work. They are really, really excellent at translating. What I've done instead is I found another translation. It's not near as good. It looks like probably computer generated, and I've not rewritten it, but fixed it up to the best of my ability. Just fixed some of the grammar, hopefully. Excuse me. But even then, I've only gotten up to, I think, chapter 8. So there's a lot to go through. But at least, really the only positive I have is that the computer-generated one is already done up to chapter 120. I say that, don't freak out if you're new to Danmei. This is normal. They are a lot of chapters and usually shorter chapters. So, take that with a grain of salt. We will be reading. Did you hear something? You know what? 1 second. I have 2 dogs downstairs. Let me just go and make sure that they're not doing anything awful. You know what it was? How many out there have a cat? That's what it was. so sorry about that. Um, let me just say, I'm a lot more professional on my podcast. This is me, um, just disaster honesty. Just disastrous honesty. That's all. No, that was the cat. I'm not even going to say what it was, but it was the cat taking something that he's not supposed to have. And as soon as I leave it lying around, he has to go take it like he's hunting. Frick. So, yeah, anyways, I am going to jump right in. I am so incredibly excited to share this with you. If you have any questions about what this is, where the good version to read this is, to read this for yourself, where you can buy the actual author's novel, I will put all of those links in the description, hopefully, if I can figure out how to do that. Fucking hell. Oh, that's one other thing. Sorry, just let me calm down, because I'm just fucking buzzing. Okay. One last thing that I wanted to mention before we get started. You may have noticed when you tuned into this that this is an NC or not an 18 plus or mature plus, whatever the hell you want to call it, stream. That is not for any lewd tubing, not happening, but more that I swear a lot. It's just fact. And this is also my safe space as well as your safe space. So, if I want to swear, I don't want to have to watch my words. So, I have to watch my words a lot. And I don't want to here. So, that's a thing. Also, some of the stories that we will read, will contain sex. I don't think this one does. Fairly certain. You'll see why once we get into it. Yeah, so that's the only reason. So we're not up for affiliate. I don't even know what that means. I'm not good with Twitch. Put me on YouTube, I would understand it. But I have had it recommended to me that Twitch is where to start. So that's what we're doing. Oh, one last thing. I am not a Chinese speaker. Any of the dialects. I can just pronounce some Japanese words. The only way that I'm able to read most of these things is that I know the 3 or 4 language rules on how things are pronounced when certain letters are put together. So take these names and words and any of that with a grain of salt. If there's something I really don't know how to pronounce, I will look it up. I will ask Google Sensei. But other than that, bear with me. Okay. Oh, this version does not have a translator. It was like a Google Translate. I can give you the website that it's off of, but I really wouldn't waste your time. This is Married Thrice to Salted Fish, written by Bika Bika. Summary. At 18 years old, Lin Qingyu was married as part of a Let me get the bugs out. Was married as part of a Chongxi into the Nan'an Hou mansion, becoming the Wancheng's Wancheng's male wife. On the eve of their wedding, young Master Hou lay lazily on the bed and said, "Beauty, to be honest, I really don't want to engage in domestic struggles. I just want to drift along, eat and wait to die. I want to be a salted fish." A year later, young Master Hou became gravely ill. He took Lin Qingyu's hand and sighed. "Wife, I'm going to die. But I think I can continue to transmigrate. In order for you to properly recognize me in the future, let us set a secret code." After the death of young Master Hou, Lin Qingyu was prepared to stay a widow all his life. Unexpectedly, after only half a year, the great general who had rendered outstanding military service actually came to propose marriage. Lin Qingyu would rather die. But the general said but one statement. If odd, change. If even, remain the same. Lin Qingyu. I will marry you. I don't know what voice to use for him. I will marry you. After 2 years, the general died in battle. Before Lin Qingyu even had time to grieve, he was recruited into the palace by the emperor. The emperor complained aggrievedly. Bao Bei, this time I have become the emperor. My salted fish dreams have been completely shattered. Lin Qingyu knew that although his husband was a bag of lazybones, no one was his equal when it came to conspiracy and schemes. He rubbed the emperor's head. Don't think about it. Get started on those reports. Behave yourself. Now, I don't know what you might be expecting, but let me tell you a little bit more about this story. This is a transmigration story. If you cannot tell, it happens thrice. And they're... I don't want to... It's not really a proper description, but it's one of my favorites, and it's kind of appropriate. But it's like bad people in good love. But it's not that. It's more... Neither of these people are going to win the award as beacon of righteousness. They're just not. But they're both such good and honest characters, and the way that they interact with each other is so spot on. So I'm shaking, and I don't know if it's because I'm cold or excited. Okay, I'm probably just excited because of because I'm finally getting to... Why am I moving away from it? Sorry. See, this is... I get excited. I just get excited. Just to check, I forgot to do something. And I've forgotten how to type. Just like... There. Alright, let's get to it. Chapter 1. Nan'an Hou Mansion inside the bridal chamber on the eve of the wedding. The two matrons of honor finished their assignments and took the maidservants of the Hou Mansion to file out of the inner room. They hadn't even made it past the door before they were impatiently gossiping in whispers. I've already lived the greater part of my... Okay. I've already lived the greater part of my lifetime, and I've never seen such a beautiful man. It is a pity he's been married off to an invalid. What do you mean a pity? He's married to the Hou Mansion's young master. If it weren't for his 8 characters managing to fit perfectly for a Gongxi to young Master Hou, would Master Hou and Madam Hou deign to even consider the son of a 5th-rank Imperial Hospital Yonpan? What you're saying is reasonable. Whether this is a blessing or a curse, only time will tell. In the middle of their conversation, the matron of honor arrived at the outer room. Before pulling close the 2 doors, she glanced inside. Amidst the festive bright red, the young man, newly married into the Hou Mansion, with the bridal veil covering his face, sat quietly like a jade carving on the bridal bed. The door slowly closed, leaving only the rejoicing newly married couple in the bridal chamber. The surrounding area became quiet, and Lin Qingyu's back, which had been stiff the entire day, finally relaxed. He moved his body a bit, and the tassels hanging on the bridal veil swayed along with him. Wearing a bridal veil was really inconvenient. When a female bride is married, the bridal veil on her head must be lifted off by her husband. Presumably, this was also the case for when a male bride is married. However, he was afraid that his husband was incapable of doing this. His husband. Lin Qingyu raised his hand to take the bridal veil off himself. His vision finally opened up. He looked around at the light gauze curtains, the red canopy, and the warm quilts. Finally, he turned his attention to the sleeping man on the bed. Young Master Hou of Nan'an Hou Mansion, Lu Wancheng. Wancheng. Okay. Lu Wancheng. Under the candlelight, Lin Qingyu expressionlessly seized up Lu Wancheng. Lu Wancheng had on a crimson wedding robe. His brows were like distant mountains. His lashes were long and thick. His cheeks were hollowed out, and his lips were as pale as paper. Though his eyes were tightly closed and his body broken by illness, it could still be seen that he was gifted with extremely good-looking features. From today onwards, this person was his husband. Although he was a man, he became the wife of another man. He was the first male wife formally and legally married in the Dayu? Is it Dayu or Dayu? Dayu. That sounds better. I think it's probably Dayu. Dayu dynasty. I'm going to call it Dayu. It sounds better. In the Dayu dynasty. How completely ridiculous. He'd been preparing for the examination of the Imperial Medical Office for 3 years. If he were to pass the examination, he would become a medical officer just like his father. Even if he weren't to enter the palace, he could open a pharmacy in the capital and be an ordinary doctor. It was a pity that just as he was preparing to go all out for this major undertaking, the Empress called his father to appear before her and said, "I hear that you have a son, born on March 11, on the year of Gui Wei at Chongxi. Is this true?" After getting the affirmative answer from Father Lin, the Empress asked the Emperor to confer a marriage upon the Lin family and betrothed Lin Qingyu to Nan'an Hou's eldest son, Lu Wancheng. The officials and the nobility in the capital all knew that Lu Wancheng was born ill and had been bedridden for many years. When he was born, Nan'an Hou specially invited the imperial physician to come see him. The imperial physician once asserted that young Master Hou would not survive past the age of weak crown. This year, Wancheng was 19, and his condition was getting worse by the day. Seeing that his days were dwindling, and that the end was approaching, Nan'an Hou was Nan'an Hou had no other choice but to write for help to the Dayu dynasty's national teacher, who was said to have access to the heavens and knew the way of ghosts and gods. The letter the national teacher gave him in reply contained only one line of 8 characters, which was exactly March 11th, on the year of Gui Wei at Chongxi. It was a crime punishable by death to disobey the emperor's orders. Lin Qingyu thought that no great loss if it were only the death. Oh, sorry. Okay. One moment. I need to hydrate. Sorry, I'm just taking a little break here. I tend to hold my breath so that I have enough breath in case it's a full sentence. Also, my tea is really delicious, so that's that. If the music's annoying, let me know, because I do not yet have the tech I need in order to be able to hear what you hear. So I hope it's okay. And I'm back. Yeah, okay, that's good. It was a crime punishable by death to disobey the emperor's order. Lin Qingyu thought it no great loss if his were the only death. But he had to protect his elderly parents and his younger brother. In this way, he became Lu Wancheng's Chongxi male wife. More than 10 years of hard study, all turned into a joke. At this moment, Hai Xi had passed. The servant girl outside the door, who was keeping watch for the night, said, "Xiaozhen, the hour is here. Kindly serve young Master Hou to bed." Lin Qingyu looked at his sleeping husband and clenched his fingers. She wanted him to serve Lu Wancheng? What a joke. The rules and custom one needed to abide by after marrying into a wealthy family are always complicated and cumbersome. Although it had been a rushed Chongxi, the Nan'an Hou mansion still sent an instructor aunt to the... I don't know how people want to pronounce this. Aunt. Aunt is how I would say it, but it doesn't really sound right here. I don't know. Sorry, let me just that's bugging me. The music was really bugging me. Oh, Oh, there's that. Oh, well, that's good. Okay, that means that I can close the other. Okay, well, that's something. Oh, goodness. Let me just... Yeah, okay. Yeah, that works. Okay. Sorry, I'm still trying to figure some shit out. The Nan'an Hou mansion still sent an instructor aunt to the Lin mansion to teach Lin Qingyu on the so-called way of a male wife. Before the wedding, he had his whole body washed clean, inside and out. Something like grease had even been applied. Lin Qingyu was not a good gay man. He has never suffered such humiliation. If it weren't for protecting the people in the Lin family, he would have liked nothing more than to take... I'm sorry, am I echoing? Fuck it, I don't even know. I'm just gonna continue on. Apologize to whoever's listening to this if there is a huge fucking echo. Fuck. So bad. Okay. And my light... This might be a little loud. Oh, it doesn't go any lower. Awesome. Try that. Damn it. Okay. I'm gonna try that line again. I didn't like how it came out. Lin Qingyu was not a good gay man. He has never suffered such humiliation. If it weren't for protecting the people in the Lin family, he would have liked nothing more than to take Lu Wancheng to perish along with him. Seeing that there was no movement in the bridal room, the servant girl urged once again. "Young master, it's time to go to bed." Lin Qingyu closed his eyes and pushed down on the upsurge of malice. He blew out the candles, leaving only one red candle in front of the bed. Lu Wancheng was still wearing the gold-embroidered wedding robe, lying atop the quilt. Sleeping this way may be quite uncomfortable. But then, what did it matter to him? He longed for the day that Lu Wancheng slept forever. Lin Qingyu walked to the bed and his eyes fell on Lu Wancheng's crossed hands on his chest. The Lin family was a medical family. Lin Qingyu studied medicine with his father since he was a child. When he was a teenager, he left home to study and follow a famous teacher. Just by looking at Lu Wancheng's complexion, he knew that Lu Wancheng was terminally ill and must be suffering from severe and chronic disease. In order to confirm this, Lin Qingyu condescended to feel the pulse of this sick seedling. Lu Wancheng's wrist was frighteningly cold, as though it had been fished out of cold water. Just as he suspected, Lu Wancheng's vitality was exhausted. His pulse showed signs of approaching death. Unless some miracle-working doctor reincarnated, Lu Wancheng would last for only half a year at most. He needed only to endure for half a year. Then Lu Wancheng passed away. When Lu Wancheng passed away, he could be freed. Lin Qingyu unconsciously applied force on his hand, leaving 2 shallow marks on Lu Wancheng's wrist. Suddenly, those pale fingertips moved. Lin Qingyu instinctively let go, letting Lu Wancheng's hand fall back onto the bed. He saw his eyes rolling under his lids, his long lashes trembling slightly. Was Lu Wancheng going to wake up? Lin Qingyu had a solemn expression as he stared at Lu Wancheng unblinkingly. Under his sword-like gaze, Lu Wancheng slowly opened his eyes. Lu Wancheng's eyes seemed to be covered with mist. It was as though he couldn't see anything. When the mist in his eyes dissipated, a trace of puzzlement appeared. Huh? Where did this classical beauty come from? Oh no, say that again. Huh? Where did this classical beauty come from? This lecher. He's already on the verge of death, and he still didn't forget to lay on the flattery. Lin Qingyu said coldly, "You're awake. You're awake." Lu Wancheng was momentarily dazed. He asked in a hoarse voice, "Who are you? Who are you? No. Who are you?" Let me just apologize because I will be doing that a lot. It's from doing audiobooks, is that if I don't like how a line is delivered, I'll do it 3 or 4 times to get to different, and I'm sorry, and it's just, I don't even notice I'm doing it until I realize that I've said it a few times, and I'm sorry. You'll just have to put up with it. And also, I'm gonna take a drink. Aw, my tea's gone. It was a really good tea, too. That's okay. We got Pop over here. A hint of surprise flashed in Lin Qingyu's eyes. "Do you not know who I am?" This was their first time meeting. But so long as Lu Wancheng had grown a brain, he should already understand just by seeing the bridal attire he had on him. Lu Wancheng shook his head, let out muffled coughs, and said, "Although it would sound very cliché, I still want to ask, where is this, and why am I here?" Lin Qingyu. I wish I had crickets or something. I gotta get a sound effects board for sure. Could it be that the sickness had made him stupid? Or did Lu Wancheng not even know about this marriage? Before the Chongxi, he heard his father mention Lu Wancheng's condition. It was said that Lu Wancheng had been dazed and muddled for the past month. If this were the case, it was likely that Lu Wancheng was completely ignorant of this marriage. Lin Qingyu's expression eased a little. "My surname is Lin. My name is Qingyu." Lin Qingyu. Lin Qingyu. Lu Wancheng said his name. As though hitting upon something, he said, "The beautiful imperial doctor who died in the Eastern Palace?" Lin Qingyu frowned. "What?" Lu Wancheng looked at him for a moment, his face filled with shock. He was then suddenly struggling to sit up. Out of habit as a doctor, Lin Qingyu pushed the flailing patient back down. "What do you think you're doing?" "Mirror." Lu Wancheng covered his chest with one hand and pointed at the bronze mirror on the cabinet with the other. His long hair lay scattered on the pillow. Give me the mirror. The mirror? Lin Qingyu handed the bronze mirror to Wancheng and asked, "What's wrong with this mirror?" Wancheng saw himself in the mirror, and then, as though seeing a ghost, his eyes widened suddenly. His expression looked as if he had 1,000 words to say. He held back for a long time until he almost couldn't breathe. In the end, he only said one word. Fuck. Finally, an honest isekai reaction. Now, would it be like that or fuck? Something like that. I kind of like the first one. The first one was honest. Oh, fuck. The servant girl on night watch heard the movement in the bridal chamber. She knocked on the door and asked, "Xiaojun, has something happened?" Lin Qingyu looked at Wancheng, who was dazed as if he'd been struck by lightning, and said calmly, "Tell Master Hou and the madam that young Master Hou is awake." Was that the music again? I think so. Sorry, I get excited and I start to shake or vibrate. And it always happens when I'm reading something good. I get excited. It's like an adrenaline rush. And I get talking quicker, but I read better with it. So I'm so cold right now. Oh goodness, but let's keep going. Because this adrenaline won't last for long. And we've got another hour to go, at least. Because it's 10 o'clock and I'm buzzing. So... Tell your Master Hou and the madam that young Master Hou is awake. The servant girl immediately sent someone to report to Nan'an Hou and Madam Hou. They then invited the doctor to come. After a while, the bridal room was full of people. It was Lin Qingyu instead who stood by the outermost side, acting like a complete outsider. Dr. Zheng, who was examining Wancheng's pulse, was not an imperial doctor, but he was too a famous doctor. But, sorry, let me just reset myself here. I'm putting Yui away because he's not in the room. Okay. Dr. Zheng, who was examining Wancheng's pulse, was not an imperial doctor, but he too was a famous doctor in the capital. Dr. Zheng stroked his beard and said in disbelief, "This is the first time this old man has encountered such a situation during his many decades of practicing medicine." Madame Hou said eagerly, "Oh wait, I need a voice for her, but she's, let's see here. I don't want to, I gotta give her a certain kind of voice, but I also don't want to spoil it, so let me just think of, oh no, I can't do that one without doing British. Let's see here. Dr. Zheng? No. Okay. Dr. Zheng. Yeah, that's better. Dr. Zheng, could it be that Wancheng... Madam, do not be impatient. That the young Master Hou has woken up is a good thing. Only that... this pulse... Yesterday, this old man also diagnosed young Master Hou's pulse. At that time, young Master Hou's vitality was clearly exhausted, and he was not far from the 5 decays of heaven and man. But now, It's like a completely different person. Dr. Jiang clicked his tongue in wonder. It's like the gods have lent their assistance, pouring vitality into his body. Lin Qingyu pondered quietly. Wancheng suddenly got better, and it wasn't that last radiance of the setting sun. Let me just explain that one because I remember the last radiance of the setting sun. It's that last flash of brilliance before a person dies. You know, that last flash of, if you don't know any better, you're, oh, they're getting better. They have that one good last, those few good last moments. Not to be macabre, but it's a thing. It's actually a nice thing. Okay. Wancheng suddenly got better, and it wasn't that last radiance of the setting sun. It was a bit weird. He has never seen a similar case in any of the medical books. Madame Hou was taken aback and asked, fuck, I can't remember what I did for her. Then is his illness about to get better? No, that wasn't it. Think. I usually make notes. Then is his illness about to get better? The doctor did not dare to confirm. He considered it and said, at least there is a gleam of hope. Good. Madame Hou burst into tears with excitement. Wancheng, did you hear that? Your illness has taken a turn for the better. Wancheng had no special reaction. He only said, I heard. The doctor added, Madam, young Master Hou has just woken up, and he still needs to rest. Madame Hou wiped away her tears and said, Then Mother won't interrupt your rest. What about Qingyu? Where is Xiaojun? Everyone looked at each other. Lin Qingyu stepped forward and said, Madam. Question. Preference question. Do you prefer Madame or Madam? Let me know. Because I automatically want to go to, because, you know, Canadian, and with the French, we always say Madame. So, that's what I'm going with until I'm requested differently. Madame. Madame Hou held his hand and said with a smile, Qingyu, as soon as you married into the Hou mansion, Wancheng's illness has taken a turn for the better. As expected, the national teacher is gifted with divine strategy and wonderful planning. You are Wancheng's savior. We shall be leaving our Wancheng in your care. Wancheng raised his head and looked at Lin Qingyu. Lin Qingyu said with a smile, Do not worry, madame. Do not worry, madam. Do not worry, madam. I will do my utmost to take care of young Master Hou. The Momo next to Madame Hou teased. Xiaojun shouldn't be calling young Master Hou by the same way we do. You should be calling him husband. Everyone laughed, and no one noticed that Lin Qingyu's hands, hidden in his sleeves, clenched tightly. Watch for this, bitch. Oh my god, I love this story so much. You don't even know. It's gonna be so good. I'm so excited. Everyone dispersed, and the peace in the bridal room was restored once again. The red candle was about to burn empty. Wancheng lay silent on the bed, His brows, sometimes furrowed and sometimes smoothed, it looked as though he was trying to remember something. Lin Qingyu was too lazy to pay any attention to him. He stood by the window looking at the strange moon outside. His body seemed to be covered with moonlight. After an unknown length of time, Wancheng let out a sigh. He said, "Buddy, oh, that's not right. Oh, that's not right. Beauty, come here." Lin Qingyu said coldly, "Who are you calling?" Wancheng smiled and said, "Is there anyone else here?" Lin Qingyu turned around. The swaying candlelight dyed a trace of crimson blush on his cheeks. The teardrop mole at the corner of his eye turned as bright as a peony. He was beautiful, but didn't seem to have a good temper. Wancheng coughed a couple times and nodded at Lin Qingyu to sit. Sorry. Deep breath, just a sec. Sorry, had to do chest compression, just a sec. Wancheng coughed a couple of times and nodded at Lin Qingyu to sit. Lin Qingyu remained standing by the bed, keeping an arm's distance from Wancheng. "I had just been sorting out the main threads." Wancheng's tone was calm, without the agitation he had first woken up with. That was my bad. Lin Qingyu said lightly, "And what has that got to do with me?" It's got a little to do with you. Because what I was thinking about pertains to your main threads." Having said just these few words, Wancheng was already a little weak and pale. "If I'd come a few days earlier, I definitely wouldn't have agreed to this marriage where you would only inevitably wind up as a lifelong widow." I'm sorry, the voice for this is really wrong, but I can't go too much deeper for Wancheng, else with the tone variations, it'll start sounding like Lin Qingyu's, and I have to leave a lot of range to separate them for other male characters to come in to have their own variations. So I apologize. This is not necessarily the voice that I have in my head for Wancheng, but it's as good as I can do, given what I'm working with. Given that I don't have my voice changers with me. Really need to get on that. Let me just do that line a little deeper, though. "If I'd come a few days earlier, I definitely wouldn't have agreed to this marriage where you would only inevitably wind up as a lifelong widow." Lin Qingyu's expression was numb. "What's the use of you saying this now?" "Indeed, now we're married. We've tied the knot. We've performed the wedding ritual, and the whole capital knows that we are husband and wife." Lin Qingyu sneered. "No." "Huh?" Lin Qingyu sneered. "We didn't perform the marriage ritual. You were asleep the whole time. I performed the ritual with a big cock." Gonna leave that one right there. Wancheng scoffed. "That's right. It's fine. If we didn't perform the ritual, that's good too. You don't have to take this marriage seriously. I won't live past half a year, so you'll just have to be wronged for a half year. When I die, you can make off with my inheritance and return to the Lin residence. This way you won't suffer too much of a loss. Lin Qingyu was startled and said suspiciously, Is there such a good thing? There is. But how much inheritance you can bring home depends on your own ability. No, say that again. There is. But how much inheritance you can bring home depends on your own ability. Wancheng leaned back on the soft pillow and said in a lazy tone, With this broken body, I won't be engaging in any domestic struggles. The waters run deep in Nan'an Mansion. I can't grasp it. I just want to drift along, eat and wait to die. I want to be a salted fish. I like it. So, I don't always read ahead. There's little things in here that will completely get me off guard. But, yeah, if I can jump on a word, I'm gonna jump on it. No, I'm pleased with that. That was a good first read. Okay. 9:19. We can do another chapter. Oh, wow, that was already an hour? What the fuck? It didn't seem like an hour. It was probably my talking. Yeah, I'll admit to it. Now, I should say, these episodes won't always be until 10 o'clock. Because I am a naturally lazy and tired person. But reading, I can usually go longer. So, on average, I will record for about 2 to 2.5 hours. But going anything past that, the story will suffer because my voice gets tired. So there's that. 2 hours I can do. Excuse me, just a sec. I'm gonna cough. You're welcome. Cause I paused that. So yeah. Let me just. I'm doing a very quick intermission. I just want to check and make sure that I didn't get any. I did get a text. Let me just see here. Nope, not there. Nothing. Okay. Oh shit. Sorry about that. Oh Jesus! What was that? Wait. What was that bullshit? Come here. No, you're both still in the... Okay. I am very sorry about those two big bangs. I'm not gonna lie, I shouldn't be drinking this cold drink that I have here. So I may at some point have to pop a cough drop too. I can read with a cough drop in my mouth, it just sounds a little muffled. Okay. Chapter 2. I have no idea how long these chapters are. I cannot see. I really should have put them into individual chapters instead of one big book. Well, it's not a big book, one little book. Okay. Let's get into her. Chapter 2. Although Lin Qingyu didn't completely understand Lu Wancheng's words, he thought he roughly understood what the other meant. For Lu Wancheng to be able to talk so lightly about his limited days, could it be that he really wasn't afraid of death? When all was said and done, Lu Wancheng was someone ill. Being able to hold on till now was already his limit. He lay down on the bed and said, "Beauty, you..." Lin Qingyu said sternly, Stop with that indomitable... Oh. Stop with that inconsiderate name-calling." Because of his appearance, Lin Qingyu had been pursuing his studies on the road. Ooh, hold the fuck up. Sorry, that was just awful. Try this shit again. Lin Qingyu said sternly, "Stop with that inconsiderate name-calling." Because of his appearance, when Lin Qingyu had been pursuing his studies on the road, he was often harassed by lechers. Towards these people who called him beauty or baobei at every turn, he wanted nothing more than to stuff their mouths with the poison he'd mixed himself that could force them to shut their mouths. However, although Lu Wancheng called him a beauty, he didn't stare blatantly at him like a frivolous person. He wasn't completely hopeless. "How fierce! Aren't you happy being praised for your good looks?" Lu Wancheng closed his eyes and said, "Whatever. I'm going to rest. Just do as you please." Let me know if the music is awful, because I can always get more music. Had to fucking pay for it, so that I can fucking get any music I want, you fucking bastards. There was a thing. Fucking Christ. Oh, do as you please. Sorry, I was looking for where I was. After all that waste of time, it was already past Jishi. There really was nothing else to do except go to bed. The servant girl just now had helped Lu Wancheng take off his clothes. She had also wiped his arms and face. While on the other hand, Lin Qingyu was still wearing the dress and crown he had used to the wedding. Oh, I've heard this word. Huadian? 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 Huadian. I'm just going to guess that that's it. I'm not... It's like using a lifeline. I'm not going to ask Google Sensei just yet. Huadian. Huadian? I think so. A Huad... Sorry. Sorry, I'm just thinking of a joke. A Huaijian had been painted between his brows, and he still hasn't washed off the makeup on his face. Yes, he had on makeup today. Due to his strongly worded request, the matron of honor had only painted his brows and lips. However, because of the cold and aloof beauty of his face, after using even just this little bit, his lips appeared as red as flames, and his brows appeared as though they had been drawn from a painting. This look made others praise him without cease, but for him, it alarmed his heart and sent his body leaping. What he had pursed between his lips seemed not to be rouge paper, but shackles that imprisoned him. And the ones who placed these shackles on him was this entire Nan'an Hou mansion, as well as the imperial family. He would remember this hatred. There was that moron of honor, too, who had to force him to use... Ooh, let me get to this. Because this is... Ugh. There was that matron of honor, too, who had forced him to use... to use ointment, and made that certain some place feel extremely uncomfortable. He would remember her, too. As for his ignorant husband, if what Wancheng said was true, they truly could spend the next 6 months together in peace. Husband and wife in name, but not in truth. He could barely force himself not to harbor any hatred against Wancheng. He was a man on the verge of death, nothing more. What need was there to bother with him? Naturally, there couldn't be 2 beds in the bridal chamber. The only bed was occupied by Wancheng. Lin Qingyu decided to spend the night on the Luhan. At this time, it was shortly after the Lantern Festival. Wait. Let me. Because this is a thing that I've set up, so let me see if it works. Yay! It works. Although one thing's weird. That should not be on my head. There. Did you see it? Did you see it? Was it pretty? I was so pleased with how this turned out. So this is the thing that's available that I do. Yay! So there's that. Anytime Lantern Festival is brought up, that goes up. I didn't even know it was in this, but I'm like, oh shit, I've got that. At this time, it was shortly after the Lantern Festival. Not gonna do it again. The days had yet to warm up. You were sure to catch a cold sleeping on a bare luohan. Lin Qingyu saw that there was an extra quilt on the marriage bed. The servants of the Hou mansion must have deliberately prepared it, afraid that their precious young Master Hou wouldn't be used to sharing the same quilt with someone. In that case, Lin Qingyu had no wish to be polite. Even in sleep, Wancheng could not escape the torment of illness and pain, and his brows were tightly furrowed. Okay, maybe that's wrong. And his brows were lightly furrowed. Lin Qingyu's movements when taking the quilt had been very light, but Wancheng still woke up. When Wancheng opened his eyes, Lin Qingyu was in the middle of bending over. His hair hung before his chest and fell on the other's cheeks, making it a little itchy. The two locked eyes with each other. Without waiting for Wancheng to speak, Lin Qingyu said first, "I'm taking the quilt." Wancheng smiled. "Take it." Lin Qingyu carried the quilt to the luhan and spread it out. But as he was about to lie down, Wancheng said, Aren't you going to undress before going to bed?" Although the wedding dress worn by a male bride wasn't as complicated and cumbersome as that of a woman's, it was still a loose corseted thing, covered in layer upon layer of robes. It was far less convenient and comfortable than wearing ordinary clothes. Just looking at it made Wancheng feel tired for him. Lin Qingyu said calmly, "Naturally, I'm going to take it off." Turning his back to Wancheng, he raised his hand to undo the outermost buckle. The coat fell from his shoulders and slid to his ankles. Piece after piece of clothing were removed, and after a while he was just like Wancheng, dressed only in close-fitting nightwear. After taking off his clothes, he turned around and glanced at the marriage bed. Good. Wancheng was asleep again. There should be a space there. While there's a space there, I'm going to take a deep breath and a drink. One sec. There we go. Sorry about that. I think we might actually be able to average a chapter per hour. So fingers crossed that this continues going as well as it is. Fingers crossed. And I totally just fucking drink. I'm gonna knock on all the wood. That was me knocking on my wood desk. Because I just fucking jinxed us. What? Okay. Continuing. Moving right along. Early the next morning. Lin Qingyu had always been a light sleeper, and a quiet cough from Wancheng was enough to wake him up. On the bed, Wancheng was lying on his side. His side profile was mostly blocked by the scattered strands of his hair. His sleeping posture was haphazard, without the slightest bit of dignity. As soon as Lin Qingyu got up from the luohan, there came a knock on the door. Sorry, I think I heard something. I'm not looking again. I'm just not. I'm getting tired. You can tell I'm getting tired. Young master? Xiaozhen? It's time to get up. According to customs, you must go serve tea to Master Hou and Madam Hou. Wancheng showed no sign of waking up. Lin Qingyu opened the door and let them in. The maid walking in front was Feng Qin. Qin? I guess so. Feng Qin, who was Wancheng's personal maid. She entered the room carrying in hot water. When she saw the soft quilt on the luohan, a strange expression momentarily stole over her face. Half of the maids who came in were there to assist Lin Qingyu to freshen up. The remaining half went to get Wancheng up. Lin Qingyu changed into a snow blue robe. His long hair was simply tied up with a jade crown. On him, these ordinary clothes seemed graceful and full of elegance. However, compared with yesterday's wedding attire, it was less bright and more dignified. Feng Qin wanted to put on makeup for Lin Qingyu, but Lin Qingyu said, "No need." Feng Qin said, "But I saw that Xiaozhen had on makeup yesterday." "And as you said, that was yesterday." Lin Qingyu's eyes fell on the dressing case on the table, and he said irritably, "Take this out." Lin Qingyu had finished putting on his clothes, but Wancheng was still asleep. A few maidservants had gathered around the bed, calling him softly. "Young master, it's time for you and Xiaozhen to serve tea to the master and madam. Young master." Wancheng remained motionless, his expression calm, his hands folded on his chest, looking like a Buddha statue. Feng Qin said uneasily, "It can't be that young Master Hou has fainted again." Lin Qingyu stepped forward and carefully observed Lu Wancheng. He said, "No, he just died in his sleep. You can force him to wake up." "No, he just died in his sleep. You can force him to wake up." Fen Qing asked, unable to understand, "Xiaozhen, how are we to force him?" "Shout louder or take off his quilt," Lin Qingyu said. "But don't forget, he is ill, so unless you want his condition to get worse, don't disturb his rest." Lin... Oh, that's what it is. Sorry, I gotta pause one moment. Okay, sorry. Sorry. Okay, we're back. Sorry, that was my bad. A bunch of people were coming in the house and I forgot to put my recording sign on. That is now done, and we are okay, and we are here. What next? I don't know if I want to turn this up a little. I'm going to turn the music up a little. None of this music matches what we're doing, so I don't really want it, but... Okay, there we are. Oh, wrong. There we go. Yep, there we go. You're gonna hear some barking or whining or scrabbling. That's because Yui is outside and he's excited that there's people home. Okay. Feng Qian said, "But Master Hou and the madam..." Lin Qingyu interrupted her. He's already this sick and you want him to serve tea? Are the rules more important than his life? In Daiyu, it was the newly married husband and wife together who served tea to the parents on the day after their wedding. If Lu Wancheng doesn't go, then he probably won't have to go either. Originally, before the Empress had ordered this marriage, Nan'an Hao's wife, Lang Xi, had sent someone to visit Lin Qingyu's home and propose a marriage. When he decisively refused, she then asked the Empress the... Sorry, let me just a sec. Oops. I keep going too quickly. Let me start that shit again. Originally, before the Empress had ordered this marriage, Nan'an Hao's wife, Lang Xi, had sent someone to visit Lin Qingyu's home and propose a marriage. When he decisively refused, she then asked the Empress, thus putting the Lin family in a state of either marrying or dying. Not to mention treating the Nan'an couple as in-laws. Not to mention treating the Nan'an couple as in-laws. He didn't even want to pay any attention to them. Feng Qin didn't dare decide on this matter. She sent a servant girl to report to Lang Xi. Not long afterwards, the Momo, by Lang Xi's side, came to give her answer. The madam... What voice did I give this bitch? The madam says that since it is rare for the young master to sleep so peaceably. Fucking hell. Read the fucking words. Read the words that are printed on the page. Don't make this shit up. Madam says that since it's rare for the young master to sleep so peacefully, we should let him continue to sleep. She and Master Hou will drink tea served by Xiaojun alone. Lin Qingyu sneered. Sure enough, Madam loves her son like life. Madam loves her son like life. Living in the Hou mansion, he was given no choice but to follow. No matter how reluctant, Lin Qingyu could only put on a snow cape and follow the Momo to the front hall. Along the way, the Momo prattled on and on about the rules of the Hou mansion's inner house. Lin Qingyu took her to be talking utter rubbish, automatically cutting her voice out of his ears. Yesterday, he'd been wearing the bridal veil, and he could only see the few steps under his feet. Today, he was able to see the true appearance of the Nan'an Hou mansion. Although he had never been to the palace, he had gone to the prince's mansion with his father. The magnificence of the Nan'an Hou's mansion was not inferior to that of the prince's mansion. With its carved beams and painted buildings, gorgeous and noble, it showed that Nan'an Hou's status in the court was extraordinary. In the front hall, Nan'an Hou and Lang Xi were seated upon the seat of honor. Nan'an Hou was wearing... Oh, sorry, no, that was nearing, not wearing. Nan'an Hou was nearing Bun Hou, taciturn and with a resolute and steadfast face. Lang Xi, though getting on in the years, was still attractive, with a kindly face. She looked like a good-natured, upper-class lady. Lin Qingyu took the tea handed to him by the Momo. He couldn't help imagining himself putting poison in it. What poison could he give that would let them have the taste of losing their freedom? The two drank Lin Qingyu's tea. Lang Xi said with a smile on her face, "Qingyu, did you sleep well last night?" Lin Qingyu recovered and said, "It was satisfactory." "From now on, the Hou mansion will be your home. If there's anything you are not used to, just tell Mother.
Thank you, madam. The Momo said, displeased.
Why is Shoujin still using madam? Just like young Master Hou, you are to call her Mother. You are to call her Mother.
This Momo was really obsessed with this matter of changing terms of address. He was simply going to call her change your title Momo. If she wanted so much for Liang Xi to be called that, then why doesn't she just call Liang Xi that herself? Sorry, that music was bugging the shit out of me. Hope that's okay. I should have changed that. I didn't, but I should have done. Okay, let's see here. Lin Qingyu lowered his eyes and said, "It is a force of habit. It may take a while for me to change my terms of address. I hope Madame Hou will forgive me." Nan'an Hou looked displeased. Liang Xi said graciously,
"There's no harm done. There will be plenty of time for that."
I keep losing her voice.
"There's no harm done. There will be plenty of time for that. The first few months after I married into the Hou mansion, I also often forgot to correct myself."
Nan'an Hou said, "Despite that, you must still get used to it as soon as possible, so as to not be a source of amusement in the eyes of others." Lin Qingyu thought of his parents and endured silently. Yes.
Liang Xi took another sip of tea and said, "Your 8 characters and Your 8 characters and Wancheng's are a match made in heaven. Master Hou and I also fancied this point. So I wish to God that I could go back, like in my audio recordings, and listen to the freaking voices that I gave her before, because this one that I'm using it doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's not it. Give me just a moment. Please, one moment. She needs to be more simmering. Your 8 characters. Your 8 characters and Wancheng's. Your 8 characters and Wancheng's. Okay, that'll work. Your 8 characters and Wancheng's are a match made in heaven. Master Hou and I also fancied this point, so we asked His Majesty to bestow this marriage. Qingyu, in the future, you must put your husband first in all matters. Wait upon him by his sickbed, and let your good fortune rub off on Wancheng."
Lin Qingyu nodded, stupefied. Nan'an Hou said, "Speaking of which, you are the son of the Panguang of the Imperial Hospital. You have also studied under a famous teacher. Your medical skills are definitely not bad."
Lin Qingyu's chest filled with a burst of oppression. Yes, his medical skills were not bad. Before all this, he could have practiced medicine or pharmacy to help the people. He could have helped the dying and healed the injured. Now he was locked up in the inner house, forced to be a male wife who was to be content with his own lot. And the main culprit even had the gall to say, "Although Dr. Cheng is in charge of looking after Wancheng's condition, you can also watch over him a bit. Do not waste your medical skills."
Nan'an Hou worked as the Minister of Revenue. He had many responsibilities, and he left after... Sorry. I just automatically assumed it was these bitches.
Let me go back and fix that, because that was, like, so wrong. Okay. And the main culprit even had the gall to say,
"Although Dr. Zhang is in charge of looking after Wancheng's condition, you can also watch over him a bit. Do not waste your medical skills."
And so we continue. Nan'an Hou worked as the Minister of Revenue. He had many responsibilities, and he left after saying these words. Liang Shi gave a jade bracelet to Lin Qingyu. She said, "This was part of the dowry I brought from my birth family." Nope, not fucking her again. Christ. I hate how my avatar doesn't frown. Really fucking bugs me. Really bothers me. I've looked at all the settings. I can't get her to frown. I'm frowning right now. And that's the best that I can do. This was part of the dowry I brought from my birth family. I had planned on giving it to Wancheng's son in the future. But now... Liang Shi paused and smiled again. No matter. You keep it. Lin Qingyu could not have failed to understand Liang Shi's intention. She took so much effort to get Lu Wancheng a male wife. She took so much effort to get Lu Wancheng a male wife, but didn't forget to disdain the male wife for being unable to bear children. They were all worthy of being members of the Nan'an Hou mansion. Each was worse than the other one. It was only Lu Wancheng who he's barely able to tolerate. Lin Qingyu returned to the Blue Wind Pavilion, where Lu Wancheng lived. He threw the brocade box containing the jade bracelet to Feng Qin. Feng Qin said, "Xiaozhen, welcome back. Young Master Hou hasn't woken up yet. He's been sleeping for so long. Is there really nothing the matter?" Lin Qingyu stopped walking towards the study.
"I'll take a look."
What he wanted to see was not Lu Wancheng, but the Lu Wancheng's once in a century pulse. Dr. Zhang, who had diagnosed Lu Wancheng's pulse last night, as he understood, was indeed a well-known doctor with real ability and talent. It would be a pity not to examine the pulse that even Dr. Zhang had never seen before. When Lin Qingyu walked into the inner room, Lu Wancheng was still asleep. He was even still in the same position. He had been before Lin Qingyu left. He stood by the bed looking down upon Lu Wancheng. He had to say that Lu Wancheng didn't look like his parents very much. His appearance was more refined than that of Nan'an Hou and his wife. Lin Qingyu rolled up his sleeves and stretched out his fingers. He had yet to touch Lu Wancheng's pulse when his hand was caught without warning. A loose, careless voice spoke.
"Sneaking up like that. What were you going to do, Lin Qingyu?"
Lin Qingyu's hand stiffened.
"Let go."
Given Lu Wancheng's body, he was afraid that Lu Wancheng would faint if he tried even a little bit of force to break free. Lu Wancheng let go. His eyes were closed, but the corners of his lips curled up.
Don't get excited. I don't like men. You don't have to be so guarded towards me.
Lin Qingyu's eyes widened.
You don't like men? You don't like men? That's right. As I remember, even though male homosexuality was in vogue during the Dayu dynasty, not everyone was a cut sleeve.
Lu Wancheng opened his eyes and said,
What about you? Are you?
Lin Qingyu choked. It has been a month since he was forced into this marriage, and no one has ever asked him this question. Anyway, he was going to marry a man. What difference did it make if he liked men or women?
Naturally, I'm not one either.
Lu Wancheng covered his lips and coughed a few times. He then said sympathetically,
Then you must feel extremely wronged at being married to me for a Chongxi.
Lin Qingyu's brows were gloomy.
What nonsense. If you were to be given to me in Chongxi, wouldn't you feel wronged? That's why I said I wouldn't make it up to you. That's why I said I would make it up to you. To say it is easy. What exactly will you do to compensate me? My inheritance. My inheritance.
Lin Qingyu sneered.
Your inheritance that I have to fight for.
Lu Wancheng asked,
Then what compensation do you want? As long as it is not troublesome or strenuous, I will give it to you. I will give it to you. Sorry. I will give it to you.
Let me take some water here. Sorry, male main characters take my voice away from me quicker than the females do. Let me see here.
I will give it to you.
Better, close enough. He wanted to take the examination of the Imperial Medical Office. He wanted to leave the Nan'an mansion. He wanted to do what he wanted to do. But he knew it was almost impossible. The marriage between him and Lu Wancheng was bestowed by the Emperor. Even if Lu Wancheng agrees for him to leave, he would still need His Majesty's approval. Lin Qingyu was silent for a while. He said,
Give me your hand. Give me your hand.
Lu Wancheng held his wrist in his other hand and said wryly,
Huh? What are you doing?
Lin Qingyu said impatiently,
I'm going to check your pulse. You could have said so earlier.
Lu Wancheng raised his hand and presented his wrist.
Dr. Lin, please.
A charcoal brazier was burning in the room, and Lu Wancheng's entire body was covered under a quilt. His wrist, though, remained cold. Feeling the beating of his pulse, Lin Qingyu frowned. Lu Wancheng's body was better, but the disease was not eradicated. He could feel the sudden vitality that Dr. Zhang had said, but Lu Wancheng's body was like a bottomless pit, consuming this vitality little by little. Unless the root of the illness was eradicated, Lu Wancheng's vitality would be extinguished, and he would still not survive past half a year. There was no cure for Lu Wancheng's disease. Seeing Lin Qingyu's face sinking like water, Lu Wancheng asked,
Am I saved? Lin Qingyu asked, "Why would you think so?" "Because you don't seem happy."
Wancheng looked as though this all had nothing to do with him.
"If I were in your place, I should think that you would want me to die sooner."
Lin Qingyu couldn't help asking,
"Do you really not care about your life or death?" "There's nothing to care about."
Wancheng smiled.
"My fate is not in my hands. It is in heaven's. Don't worry. Don't worry, my widow. You're sure to be one."
Lin Qingyu. Crickets. Crickets. So yeah. It's 10:03, so I will be stopping here. We are under 2 hours by a little bit, so that's great. Let me know what you think so far. I do really apologize for continually forgetting the voices. I thought that I had the voices locked in my head, but I do make character notes, and I'm not doing that for this. Also, with fanfic, it's easier because I know the voices. I know. Oops. Don't hit the equipment. So yeah. So that's very different. A few little things about the story. One, there is a lot of comedy. It is really quite funny. And I don't know if you're okay, if you like revenge stories or where no, it's not a revenge story. If you like when the character's not going to take any bullshit, but they're going to do it behind the scenes. So like I don't want to spoil it, but that's what this story is. Now, apparently, because I did look at a few reviews to make sure that, yes, this was something that we might like, a few people have said that the, I always want to call it reincarnation, that the transmigration bits are a bit sad. Not the actual transmigration, but the dying bits. But I think that makes it all the better. So you know it's not a frivolous comedy. This is a really, really good story. So I'm very excited to bring this to you. But that's it. We will start chapter 3 next Sunday. Whew. So let me go to this. So yeah. So I really hope that you enjoyed this first episode of the library. I hope that it at least held up to my expectations. I won't know until I get to go back and listen to it or watch it. I really hope that this microphone, this voice isn't super echoey. But yeah. So and I definitely have to change the music. I have to fix the music. So those are some things we need to iron out. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me or watching this in whenever you're watching this. And hopefully I will see you next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right? Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we will see you again next time. Until then, happy listening.